Well, that's not good.
Okay, so
Good morning. It is Tuesday, August 29th. I am on my way to my first call. I have a few calls on the schedule for today. My first call is AC issues, possible condensate pump issues. So, not exactly sure what that's going to be, but I guess we'll find out. I have a 240 and a 120 condensate pump, and I have vinyl tubing. So, hopefully whatever it is, I can fix it, but we'll see. So I already spoke with the homeowner and took a look inside. It's a clogged evaporator coil, so I got my Viper, a Union, PVC glue, and I'm going to bring down my Milwaukee shop vac so we could actually vacuum that clog out instead of push it in with the CO2. Okay, so here's that pump. I cut in a Union, I vacuumed out the clog and the water, and then I sprayed in that condensate pan treatment. And I'm going to be recommending a UV light because of all this mold and mildew. So I'm installing a UV light, and the light came broken. I had to get a replacement. But look at it. That pin right there, it's just dangling on a brand new UV light. It stinks. And here is the UV light. Goes right into there. Okay, so I'm headed now to an AC not cooling, and there was recently an emergency service call for this unit where a flow switch was installed in the drain pan, or out of the drain pan, in line with the condensate line. So I'm wondering if it got clogged again and just shut everything down and did its job, but we'll see. And this customer has a massive fish tank, all salt water. Okay, so I'm at the thermostat. It's a Carrier Infinity thermostat. If you press and hold this button for 10 seconds, you go into the like the contractor install service menu. So I clicked on service, next, scroll to, where is it? Faults, where do I see it? Last 10 system events. And one event is active, thermal cutout in low stage. So I'm going to be taking a look at the outdoor unit. Okay, here's the outdoor unit, and we're flashing 7 and 1, 71, same error code on the unit inside. First thing I'm just going to do is check our incoming voltage. And we have 243, so I'll get some leads pulled off of the capacitors after I pull the disconnect out, which is, comes around to this one. Push that back in there. Okay. And we'll confirm that we have no power. One leg to ground, millivolts, another leg to ground, nothing, and from line to line, nothing. So I will pull the leads off the capacitors, which don't think I'll be able to do one-handed, and I'll test those, see how those read out. Okay, so right now I'm testing all of my, hopefully you can see, all my capacitor, or my compressor windings. I don't know if you can see it that well, but I'll go from one lead to another. We got 1.4 ohms, one to the other. We got 2.1 ohms. Excuse me. And then the last two, we have 0.7 ohms, so those seem pretty okay. Go ahead and put those all back where they belong. And then I am going to hook up gauges, clear the fault, and cycle this system back on. and we'll have to see what happens. Okay, so compressor is not starting, and that sounded pretty bad. So now I know our start capacitor is good. I tested that. The potential relay, I guess I have to figure out how to test the potential relay. Okay, so I couldn't quickly figure out how to test the start relay, and I didn't want to go messing around with anything and making something worse happen, so I just put in a new one to see if there would be any change, and of course, that was it. It started right up with no problem. Amp draws around 11 amps, but I got my topped on. I want to monitor the temperature on the start capacitor to make sure it's not going up. It's not pulling any amperage, so it shouldn't still be in the circuit, but I'm going to check, because if it's still in the circuit, it's going to heat up, and then just start spewing smoke. So just to be safe, I'm going to monitor it. And here it is, that topped on thermal imaging camera. Right now it's calibrating, so once it finishes up calibrating, I'm going to point it over at that capacitor. I'm expecting the capacitor to be warm because it was warm already, but we'll have to see once it calibrates what goes on. And let's see what's going on. It's not registering anything. Auto shutter off. That's weird. Oh, did it break already? That stinks if it broke. Let me see. No matter what I do, this topped on's not working, so that's no good, topped on. I'm gonna be reaching out to them. See if they'll give me a new one, but I guess that means I'm getting the infrared laser gun for temperature. Okay, so this is what I use for my infrared thermometer, made by Klein. I like it a lot. It's just a basic temperature sensor, but this one seems to be much more accurate than the ones that I've used in the past. So let's see, 93, 94. It seems to be staying, I mean, it would be going up quick, so this seems to be okay. Let's check our refrigerant pressures, because those are hooked up still. Don't show the customer's information. And our pressures look okay. It's not in charging mode, so you can't check some cooling, but I don't think we're not going up on that, so we should be good to go. So, awesome. That was a much simpler fix than I predicted. Thought it may come down to the compressor, but looks like we're good to go. And here you can see the amperage that we're running at. We got 8.73. There's that new start relay. It's not an exact replacement, but it's a replacement that fits in this this situation for compressor size. And then if we take an amp draw on our start capacitor, we have no amperage pulling, so it's not in the circuit anymore, which means that our start relay is good to go. So nice. Okay, so got my temperature gun inside. Let's see, 61 degree air. And it's about 78, 77 in here, I believe. Let's exit out of all of this. And cooling, 71, reading 78, blinking, so should be all set. Okay, so now I am headed to Forest Hills, 45 minutes away, for a Mitsubishi unit with an error 1102, and he said leaks by valve. That's what's written here. What exactly that means, I'm gonna guess is refrigerant leak. So I have a feeling I'm gonna be charging the system from scratch. So we'll see what happens. 25 mile per hour speed limit for 5 miles of road is a killer. It stinks having to go this slow the whole time. If it wasn't 25 miles per hour, it'd probably be a 20-minute drive, but oh well. Okay, so here's the valve that was leaking. He closed it. I went ahead and tightened it and opened it, and we'll turn it on and see what happens. Okay, so I'm hooked up, monitoring pressures now. We did just kick on, so we have to wait for everything to stabilize, but this is what we're looking at as far as our pressures. I'm gonna hook up some clamps here and see what starts to happen. I've never worked on one of these units before, so kind of gotta just take everything in and see what happens. So we seem to steadily be staying below freezing, and you can see that superheat, 47 degrees. So I am confident we're going to be low on charge. The only issue is actually charging it. I don't know any of the line set lengths. This is a really big system with 7 indoor units. So I actually made a call over to Mitsubishi, and I'm waiting on a call back because I want to make sure I'm doing the proper charging procedure for this unit. But it may come to just slowly adding, because that typically works fine with all the ductless systems that we see. But we'll see what happens. He was getting water dripping, so I'm thinking that it was freezing inside. And the error only happened once he closed that valve, so I'm thinking that when he closed that valve, he was starving the compressor for refrigerant and it overheated. Okay, so here's what I'm doing. I thoroughly explain and discuss this with the customer, who's not a dumb guy. He totally understands everything I'm saying. And we're going to add refrigerant until the pressures look like they're okay. And we're going to add a sealant and dye in an attempt to stop any potential leaks, which we know there's a leak because the refrigerant is low. I can't measure the lengths of the lines. They go through the walls up and down, and this is what he has opted to do, and I think it's totally fine, so that's what I'm doing. I'm going to add refrigerant with the sealant and with 410. So I'm going to get started on 2 pounds, 0.5 ounces. I'm trying to bring that superheat down to like 5 degrees. And I'm letting it modulate. Okay, so here's where I'm leaving it. You can't watch subcooling because this is mini split, so it's different. But superheat at 7 degrees, I'm comfortable leaving it there. I know some systems run as low as like 2 to 5, but this is an older one. I'm gonna leave it right there and let it operate as is. Make sure we're not dripping like crazy anywhere or spraying water anywhere. But it took 4 pounds total, and I'm gonna add the sealant. And this was condensing and leaking, so I wrapped it with some foam insulation tape just as a precaution so that it doesn't get water dripping through the light again. And it's still accessible by pulling off that this strip. This strip is not adhesive, it's outside around it that's adhesive. Okay, so I finished up there. I'm happy with how it went. Customer's very happy with how it went. We resolved the issue in a timely manner rather than waiting days to speak with Fujitsu, with Mitsubishi.
At the light, turn left onto Askin Avenue.
Opening walls to measure lines and all this nonsense. That's the way that we had to do it. He's happy to do it that way. I know a lot of people are going to have their opinions, but I think that was totally okay to do, and I stand by it. But I'm on my way now to Dix Hills, right by where I live, to take a look at a Weil McLain Ultra that supposedly has a blank display. So we'll see what happens there. There's a nice church here that I've never seen before, and it says Glorious Title of Our Lady, Queen of Martyrs. I guess it's Our Lady, Queen of Martyrs Church. I don't know. Curious to look into what this is. And I'm on Queens Boulevard, which I hate for that guy and all the other guys riding their scooters and e-bikes in and out of traffic, weaving, and people just jumping across the middle of the road. It's so aggravating. And the 25 mile per hour speed limit. I used to take this in and out of the city a lot, and it was miserable. Camaro. Uh-oh. Someone fell off the road. Still on my way to the Dix Hills job, but Mitsubishi just called me back, and the technician I spoke with said that what I did should be perfectly fine. You can usually get pretty close on doing it with that method, so case anyone was going to comment that I'm a hack, I have Mitsubishi support on this one. So that's what we did. So I'm even more confident now knowing that Mitsubishi said that that's fine. They also said they have a software where you can plug all the information in and sometimes get a pretty good estimate. But yeah, I'm pulling up on the job now, so we'll see what happens with this Weil McLain Ultra. This one's brutal. Here's our unit. We have a dead U control. I confirmed we have 120 coming in and 24 volts coming in. And the only thing that would break 24 volts before it gets to all the components would be the board itself. Checked both fuses. Both fuses are okay. But we have a hole here that has been patched at some point. But it's been leaking, and that's a carbon monoxide hazard. So this Ultra is between 15 and 18 years old, which is old for an Ultra. That's about when the manufacturer actually recommends replacement. So not sure what the customer is going to opt to do here. Okay, so he is going to be replacing that boiler. I collected a deposit, and we're going to be putting it in Tuesday of next week, because this week it's already Tuesday, and we can't get the boiler for 2 days, so, and Monday's a holiday. But that's going to be it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed watching. Comment any advice or criticisms or feedback, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.